Good morning, this is Dr. Jim Weldon, and I'd like to welcome you to the discussions on the enlightened mind and the possibilities of consciousness. 2018 marks the 10th year since I originally launched the book, Secret Journey to the Enlightened Mind. And when I wrote that book, it was really about coming to grips with the experiences and the many things that I'd been through myself personally. And at the time that I completed this work, 10 years ago, it was really for my own benefit, and I took it to the founder of the Art of Living, which you see up here on this side here. That organization was much smaller at that particular time. I didn't realize that eventually it was going to become the biggest non-governmental NGO in the world, and that we were going to be hosting and founding the largest community facility, as far as I know, outside of India, here on Heavenly Mountain. We're talking from Boone, North Carolina in the United States. It's off the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Blue Ridge Mountains of Boone. The community is growing like crazy. It's over 1,000 acres, huge number of buildings. I won't talk about that now. But I wanted to share a little bit more about my background and experience. I really wrote this initial book to try to give some kind of clarity to the experiences that I'd been through since I was a child, and the many, many amazing things that happened to me beyond my control over those many years. When the book was originally published, and by the way, it is available on Amazon.com, also on a Kindle version. I'm quite happy to send anyone that feels constrained about that. It's very inexpensive. It's only like $2.50. This is going to be a series that follows the book, does readings from the book, and answers questions about that. And you're welcome to, ask questions as we go along. I'm assuming that will come up here. I've just gotten great internet connection up here on Boone, North Carolina, and so I'm able to do something like that. And so it's a momentous time. At the time that the book originally came out, the founder of the Art of Living kind of indicated I should hold it back. And so I really haven't promoted this broadly and openly, because many of the things were talked about were not easily understood in terms of the potentiality of human consciousness and growth. And in terms of myself, a lot of clarity needed to happen, a lot of growth needed to happen. 2018 is going to be a banner year, I assure you. Many great breakthroughs around the world. I know we're feeling many difficulties at this point, but there are going to be some great changes. And so before I begin this, I would like to begin by invoking the blessings of all the great teachers of the world, of all the cultures, of all the spiritual traditions of the world, to undertake this task to provide clarity in terms of what are the potentialities of human consciousness and what is the great destiny that we're all going to be living as we grow into greater understanding of the world and the universe we're in. And it's a short little chant saying, and I'll sing that and then describe that, and then we'll get started. Again, thank you for visiting me. Thank you for listening to me about this, and joining me in the first of this series, which will go on for some time, going through the book gradually. I do encourage you to pick that up and to do some readings. Many of you who have bought a copy of the book have encouraged me for doing this for years, and I've really held back. And until this last Christmas, where the founder of Art of Living, we were discussing these possibilities, and he came by and gave me a big thumbs up, go ahead. So we're going ahead on many different areas in terms of developing this great community and so forth. So let me begin with the blessing. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. To translate it says, lead us from untruth to truth, lead us from darkness to light, lead us from death to immortality. Peace, peace, peace. May there be peace in your mind, in your body, and in the world, in your life, in every way. Okay? And by the way, I did put a link to that Kindle version. And again, if anybody would like to receive a copy, if it's somehow tight for you, just drop me an email. You can text it to this number up here, or James Weldon at weldon@yahoo.com. I'll be glad to send you a link to get that. This is not a business in any way. It's a chance to share a little bit more. And over the years that this work has been out, it's kind of very secretly been passed around and talked about to many seekers of knowledge in many different traditions. And they would write me back about how much they love the book. Actually, it was predicted some years ago. I waited a number of years even before I printed it, 4 or 5 years before I did the first publication, and I gave a copy to the founder of The Art of Living. He looked at me and he smiled and he set it down. And I said, okay, let's just set it down and let it wait. But I tried very hard to make every word in here, as amazing as it may sound, to be absolutely true in every way, and to lay out the difficulties, the problems that I went through, the pain, the agony, the tears that I experienced in trying to seek out finding a place of happiness. And we're really founding here a community of happiness, ultimately a university, a community of happiness and joy, with no vested interest towards any particular point of view, just trying to help people grow in their life. And many of my friends have written me and said, wow, this book is amazing. And, I'll read one of these from a friend here. He says, it's one of the best spiritual books I've ever read. I found answers to my questions on why service is important and how does the karma operate. Finally, it made me focus on my path more than ever. Another one here, started your book yesterday morning and I couldn't put it down. As a matter of fact, I read the whole thing in one big swoop. Even to stop to cook a meal would have taken too long. It was fascinating and reassuring. It warmed my heart to really hear about all your experiences and rewards. I really, really, really loved it. And it seems as though this work is a compendium of all the potential experiences, or many of them, that are possible, that transcend tradition, culture, faith, that are common to all living beings, but they're not entering into that state. So, for example, right now, this web broadcast that's being enjoyed by a number of individuals is actually going around the world, around the entire world. Any one of the billions of people of the world could actually pick this up. That means that I'm connected to the entire world if they choose to connect. Actually, in the same way, the consciousness that we're talking about is like that. We are all linked beyond time and space, and there is a place where we are united in love, united in oneness. And that oneness needs to be lived. And it's the next natural phase of human development. This isn't something that belongs to one culture, one place, one time. It is the natural process of evolution that we become united in our consciousness so that we speak and act and behave united. That we do spontaneously in the same way what needs to be done. In the same way, the trillions of cells in the body are somehow controlling my arm and making it reach out, not knowing the understanding that I'm experiencing. We need to get connected to that larger reality where we do and act and behave on the behest and to the benefit of everyone in the world. And in the book, after that title page, there's some interesting photos and pictures throughout all of it, and my picture that I had taken at the time, and there's a lot that's happened since that time. Some titles and so forth have come. I guess that's part of getting older. You go through high school and you graduate, you go to college, you get PhDs, you get MDs, you get DNs, you get even yogic degrees, which I have a couple of those and so forth. Let me read you the forward in the dedication, to try to help you have more clarity in terms of what's going on, the dedication. So life is a mystery, where we come from and where we're going. Isn't it amazing that we arrive in this life one day and in a moment forget that this universe is ageless and so are we? Like huge icebergs, we drift through time as our rough-hewn edges slowly melt away until finally we disappear into the ocean of life all about us. Like icebergs, 99.9% of who we are is hidden. So we are a mystery. Our life is a mystery. Where do we come from in the distant past, and what is the cosmic plan for our future? All of this, for most of us, is completely unknown. This book is dedicated to revealing that mystery, the secret journey to the enlightened mind that we are all on, and those great beings that have lit the way for millennia. I have lived my life in the grace of 3 spiritual giants of our age, and now it is time to tell that story. What is the enlightened mind? How is it attained? What are the experiences that might come along the way? What is that common journey that we are all traveling on, whether we know it or not? We come into the world crying, gripping something desperately with our tiny clenched fist. We do not know what it is we're grasping for. We open our eyes, breathe in, and look out into the world with amazement. After a little while, and it really is a little while, our final exhale comes, and we feel at that instant of our time that our whole life has just been an instant in time. We breathe out, this time open our palms out, leaving everything behind, our wealth, our family, and our body, and we are gone. At that moment when we pass, if we have lived well, those about us now cry like the baby cried and we once were. If we have lived more of the enlightened mind in this life, fathomed the wisdom within us, and brought into this world some of the love that we are made of, then we have accomplished something. Then we carry that attainment, and that love we have given along the way with us. Nothing else really matters. Whether we know it or not, this secret journey is the most important thing and ultimately the only thing that is happening in our life. Even before I wrote this book, I waited many years to tell this story. Now is the 10th anniversary, even after that time. I waited because I wanted to speak the truth. I waited so that those who would read these words could feel the truth of direct experience and know that there are answers to life's deepest questions and deepest mysteries, and that there is a way to find and live always in the heart of love. All we want is happiness. All we want is love. May only the truth be spoken word here. May you see through these words and find the light of your destination soon, and take your journey from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from death to the shores of immortality, and always live in peace and fulfillment. And then I signed it, Dr. James Weldon, title Rishi Yogadhi Pragya, July 18th, actually 2018. It was done on the full moon. And the special, which we call the Enlightened Mind Day in July. We're a little bit early here, but I wanted to start out New Year's with beginning to share it because it's been pushing at me. And many of my friends have been asking me about this for a while. So, let's give an introduction to the story. and I'll be reading from it. And many of you are welcome to email me any questions that you might have, separately, privately, doesn't make any difference. And I would be glad to share any answers. So the introduction here. So our life is an adventure, a journey in the most wondrous play imaginable, held in the limitless hall of the universe. The cast of our movie includes everyone and everything in this world. The backdrop of our play is the stars in the heavens above. The sun, the moon is our lighting. The stage of this play of life is our soul, truly our common soul, upon which the adventure continues year after year, life after life, age after age, until the stupendous, and I'm telling you, it is stupendous, better than any wonderful superhero movie you've ever written, but it doesn't look so clear until you begin to make the breakthroughs of that, by the way, till that stupendous conclusion. The realization is that the divine adventure of discovering of what and who we really are. This story explores the spiritual milestones of discovery of how every life is tied to the past, present, and future of all life. Particular events portrayed here, and I really mean this, the events in my life, they're really not important. They will be forgotten, and they should be forgotten, just as we lose each day in the next, or just as we forget actually one life in the other. And we do have those memories within us, but they're deep within us. And they're actually hidden because we have enough just to deal with day-to-day stuff, just today's stuff, yesterday's stuff. Who said this to you? Who did that to you? If we remembered all the past, it would be totally overwhelming. But those things are accessible. And as we grow, there are ways to get to those. We can talk about that later. One thing should not be forgotten. It is that we have all come in this world to contribute something and to continue our journey into the enlightened mind, helping each other along the way. We're here to help each other. We're here to bring something into the world. Everything that we do, everything we create, billions of dollars didn't equate to the unlimited happiness and joy within us that we can achieve. From childhood, without realizing it, I searched for that love and a life that was forever. I cried my first breath out for that love. Soon, like all of us, I found myself lost again in this world, but somehow something was reminding me about the journey I'd lived before. In childhood, I was tormented, and I wondered about the experiences and the torment that I was having in these experiences. And by my 20s, I was fortunate enough to have some knowledge and guidance. I first touched the traditions of wisdom in the world and benefited from the many thousands of years of those seeking a deeper truth in those cultures. There I found a roadmap to the enlightened mind. Once I knew that such a consciousness existed, over the years I met 3 enlightened beings and began the second step. So the first step was even to realize that there was such a thing. And the second step is to try to find some clarity, somebody that is really living that. That was my second step. And then came rapid spiritual progress, but also decades of doubt and many, many challenges along the way. What sustained me all those years was a mysterious gift and a vision that came into the enlightened mind and our eternal home there. Something happened. Something unbelievable happened. And it blew my mind. And for decades, I tried to get clarity on that. That's part of what the story is about. And there I touched a wisdom, and I experienced an ecstasy and saw an eternity and felt a revelation of truth, of oneness, and a love that couldn't be denied. Even after that, for many years, I continued, sometimes patiently and sometimes desperately, till I finally came to that place again. There, shining with immeasurable light, love, and joy, I found a place and a life where the many questions that cannot be answered of who we are and what we are And if somebody tells you they have all the answers, don't listen. You have to be in that place. That's where the reality is. And experience the living reality and the true eternal life that we lived and wonder. So let's begin now talking a little bit more about the secret journey into the enlightened mind. And it's a journey with 3 acts. Actually, this book, The Secret Journey to the Enlightened Mind, is actually two books. It's going to end up being 2 books. And the first is up to the point that attainment came into clarity. And then once I was prepared and ready, then the final teacher arrived, the heart master, began that guidance. And the second book, which actually is well underway, there's 3 here actually, 2 more, which I really waited a long time to talk about and share. The second book is about the rise of what I consider the first world teacher, global teacher. And you can guess who that might be. But of course, I did not know that or realize that. There are only a handful of us involved. I met that teacher actually at the beginning, where I met all my teachers in 1976, but he was only 20 years old. But something happened there, and we didn't reconnect for many years. So there's a global phenomenon that's taking place right now in the world. What is that? We are rising in consciousness in the world. And just like the internet, that consciousness allows us to be connected on an individual basis, on a family basis, on a community basis, and a global basis. And just like the knowledge, let's say, of the internet, you can type anything in on your screen and something will come up. You can literally go and look, probably through cameras and photos, almost anywhere in the world. Understand that consciousness has that capability. Now, I understand this sounds fantastic. I understand this sounds amazing. But there really is that possibility. You know, for the last year, I've been thinking about doing this, but I didn't have good internet connection on the mountain here in my home in Boone, North Carolina. And so I couldn't do this. In the same way, if your little SIM card is not connected, you're not going to be able to listen to any of this information, get any of this knowledge, even if it's there. So consciousness is really the ultimate frontier. And the potentialities of consciousness gradually unfold. And as they gradually unfold, we tentatively and then in a stronger way feel this connection. And we all experience that. You know, pure love is our very essence. It's what we're made of. It's our heart. It's our life. All of these wonderful, great qualities. You don't need to teach a baby how to be loving, to be compassionate, to feel joy and happiness. It's his very nature. So we all have those qualities, but the baby is directly in contact with the source. And that source is deep within in the mind. And the mind is very much like an ocean. We fathom that ocean. Mostly we're focused outwards. We're focused outwards in the world all of our life. And very rarely do we quiet the mind and begin that inner journey. I'm telling you that the inner dimension, the inner universe, is actually bigger than the outside universe. And it's connected to all that is. You know, we're on a tiny little planet here, a little speck of dust flying through space. We're in some country, and many of you here are from around the world. I see here from people from Pakistan and India. And oh, hi, Timothy, my friend here in Hong Kong that I met many years ago and taught courses to. So we are, we're connected on that deeper level. And on the level of the heart, there is no space. In the love heart. So dropping down into that space, if we were truly able to be there, we would gradually feel that we're not just in this little bitty space in the body, but we are expanded out more and more, greater and greater. And when that experience of the connectedness to everything that is, which we're already connected to, becomes stronger than our individual identity, then essentially we have graduated. And we're graduated to the state of an enlightened consciousness to a certain degree. And then all of these potentialities gradually will begin to unfold. It's not amazing at all that you're able to listen to me all around the world. Anurag and Timothy and Joshua and Todd, Leanna and Billy Baggett. Hey, Billy. Billy gave me a great lesson a long time ago about not attending to the rules and not staying in line. And Billy, by the way, gave me a great gift. I don't know if you can see it here. You can't see it. But I have a big scar on my arm and a metal plate from the days when Billy Baggett met me head on in football in Cocoa Beach because I skipped practice and the head of the coach put me up against the hole. And, you know, it actually opened the door to a lot of things. Unfortunately, when they put me in the hospital, they gave me drugs. And those drugs actually, I didn't go down that pathway, but begin to allow me to understand that there's actually ecstasy that can be created inside. I really discovered how I could connect to those natural endorphins. We can be absolutely scientific about all of this. You don't need to believe anything. In fact, you shouldn't. Ultimately, you need to verify all of these things completely for yourself. Verify them for yourself. But you need to be willing to take the time and energy and get the proper guidance of how to connect into that bigger space within yourself. And you're connected with that inner space with your family. I saw some great pictures of Billy's kids and children. And I could see the love in his eyes and the heart. So that kind of love that connects us, anything happens to your children, it's like it's happening to you. We can actually be like that with anyone and everywhere, everyone, and actually the whole world. But it takes tremendous strength to be able to hold that kind of clarity and to hold that kind of happiness so you can balance out the misery, the torment, the torture, the many, many difficulties that people are going through around the world. And based upon that strength of love, then you really have something to give. So we have a responsibility to become strong in that space. Whatever you want to call it, I call it the enlightened mind. You could call it God, you could call it nirvana, you could call it the vacuum state, you could call it Allah. I love that word, Allah. Allah, love, love. You can call it the heart of Jesus. No problem. I don't have any difficulty with any of the great faiths of the world. There's nothing to reject. They're all trying to talk about, I believe, the same place and the same reality deep within us. So that journey, I invite you to begin that journey. I invite you, if you haven't picked up a copy of the book, Secret Journey of the Enlightened Mind, go ahead and read the chapter 1, and we will begin this. And I start with the beginning of my life in the book and what happened to me in the early days in Cocoa Beach. I grew up in the most amazing, fabulous place. I grew up in, actually I was in Alaska for a while when my father was running a fighter squadron back when we're thinking we were going to blow up the world. But he moved to Cocoa Beach, Florida, and ran the space technology laboratories. Ended up being a general before he retired, which is he did all the telemetry before NASA was found. And so I had the joy of living that. And let's start with the first big mystery, okay? The mystery of birth. Birth is a mystery. It's a huge mystery. Hi, Veda. I've been seeing, let me see. Yeah. I've been seeing some of your connections. We haven't met or anything, but welcome. We're talking about my book, The Secret Journey to the Enlightened Mind. This is going to be a compendium, a series of describing the many things that I went through, and the many years of searching and seeking to end up here on Heavenly Mountain in this largest spiritual community, as far as I know, outside of India, at least in terms of square foots and building. And so next time we are going to, we have met. I remember your face, but that's not your English name, is it? Okay, let's see. Okay, there we go. Now I can do the comments. So we have met. I do remember your face, but I'm trying to remember exactly when. Maybe it was in Fairfield during the times there. Maybe it was traveling. Okay, 10 years ago. Well, 10 years ago was when this book came out. So this is the 10th year anniversary of writing that book. And when I wrote it, I didn't write it really, I really wrote it to just expunge myself of many of the things that I was going through. So we met in Fairfield. And so when I was in Fairfield at that time, I was at Five Oaks Clinic. My wife was a teacher there at the university. This is a great community in Fairfield, Iowa. And I don't know if you know, I was the first graduate in that college. I got a master's degree and a BA, but also from Switzerland. They sent me to Switzerland because they needed some graduates. So I think we'll wrap up at this point. If anybody has any questions that you would like to ask, I can continue. My phone number is up here. You can text me any questions. I'm going to be trying to do this on a regular basis. If you do have I met you later in Fairfield. Okay. So, Veda. So, anyway, chapter 1 will be the mysteries of birth. And let me read the poem that begins this. Who am I? A moment ago, I was free, dancing with angels. Now I'm your child. Oh, you did the course? The Art of Living course? Or some of the breathing things? Okay. There you go. Who am I? A moment ago I was free, dancing with the angels. Now I'm your child. Yet I know we have been together many times. We are old, we are young, a baby, yet ancient. Many times we have laughed and cried. Many times we have loved. Many times we have touched the stars and the heart of God. So I thank you very much for joining me here. If you have any preferred times that you would like to do this, this will be posted on my Facebook page and will ultimately be in a specific web page on the Secret Journey to the Enlightened Mind, which I do have. So all of those will be available. If you have any friends that would like to join, have them friend me on my Facebook page. That'll be under Yogadhi. James Weldon Yogadhi, you can find me, friend me there, and the announcements will go out. I appreciate it. I guess 30 minutes is enough. I do appreciate you. And at the end of our talks, or when we're meeting somebody, we leave somebody. In many traditions, they do this. In the Islamic tradition, God is great. Okay. So the idea to remember that. In the Christian tradition, there are many, Jesus loves you. Okay. In our tradition, which is also connected to all of these, and that's part of the sharing. This is what the other books are going to be about. By the way, one of the books, well, I'm going to talk about it. It's going to really be amazing to people. It's as flabbergasting as all of this. And we say Jai Guru Dev, and what that means is, may the divine life awaken in you. You're respecting that. So you say Jai Guru Dev. Or you could say, Allah be graced. May God be graced. May Jesus be with you. Whatever blessings. So this is the first great ability that we have as evolving beings. They're called cities of perfection, is the ability to bless. The ability to bless. And this is connected to the life force and the energy. It's the first kind of capability which really comes. And so we can bless the world at any time. So right now, even though, there's not a huge number of people listening, this is going out over the whole planet. And through this mechanism, we can bless the whole world. So think of this world as being inside of you, because it really is. Inside the heart, this whole world is inside of you. You can expand and expand and be above and beyond this world. This is not a philosophical idea. This is not a wishful idea. This is the reality of what we are and how we can expand. And when we expand, happiness increases, joy increases. And when we contract, then suffering increases. Suffering, the definition of suffering is we are contracting. The definition of fulfillment is we are expanding. And at a certain point, we are living in this bubble. Buddha called it the Buddha, the bubble. And at a certain point, that shatters, like the boundaries around the egg, and we remain outside and inside, both. And that gets stronger and stronger, and then that becomes a reality that can't be denied. It's always there, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unconscious, deep sleep. It remains. It remains. It's always there. That self remains. And I have many, many great friends around the world in many different organizations and traditions around the world, in all many cultures. There are millions of people around the world connected with us now. And we wish the best for them. We wish the journey to the enlightened mind be quick, as painless as possible. There has to be some pain, because that's the growing pain. But that we all discover our heart of love and let our mind consciousness in that space rain down on the earth, as if there are showers or bouquets of love showering from our consciousness down on the whole planet. And the blessings of the enlightened ones are with you. The great, great, unbelievable tradition of enlightened teachers that this comes from is connected to all the traditions in the world. All of the great teachers of this world are connected to that. Although their communities may not realize that, that is part of what we're going to talk about that here gradually as we get to that. That's an advanced topic. But anyway, thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and we'll talk again. Goodbye, in love.